Here we are, guys. It's video 12. We're looking at 7.3, okay, chapter 7, lesson 3, about similarity. It's a crappy day outside, so lighting has been kind of an issue today. There's no sunlight coming in, so it's kind of dark, and any of the lighting I try to use either puts a big, huge glare on the board or it's not enough. So hopefully you'll be able to see most of what I'm doing here without too much problem. But similar, on the reteach page that you provided, it has a definition of similar. I put it in kind of a little bit different terms, but very similar definition. Similar is when two figures are similar if a sequence of transformations, including a dilation, meaning at one point or another the size was changed, can be used to get from one to the next. Okay, the symbol that they use, they don't really talk about on your sheets. I wish they had, but I'm giving it to you because you definitely need to know. Is a little squiggly line, kind of like congruence, but taking away the equals part underneath that squiggly, okay, or just in place of any other symbol, not equals, not congruent, just a squiggly line means similar. Okay, remember what I said in video 11, that it's so important to keep the order of your letters constant to prove congruence? Now in similarity, it comes to be a huge factor too. Continuing to look at reteach, I really like their examples. I think they're pretty informative. I had put these four-sided figures in front of the four letters. You don't have to do that on four-sided figures. I just wanted to do it because you always have to do it in front of triangles, which we'll see in example 2. But there's so many different styles of four-sided figures. They just figure 4 points is enough to name it. But in example 1 on this, they labeled the first one, or I labeled the first one. They didn't. They put the points on there as A, B, C, D. If I label that first one as A, B, C, D, I have to then label the second one R, S, T, U to go in the same order of points on the sheet that you're given. Okay, that's important because now, whether I look at the drawing closely enough or not, you can tell that if I take segment AB, then I should be able to compare it to segment RS. And when I do that, which is what the book does right there, and I don't want my arm to get in the way again, when I do that, the book, or not the book necessarily, but the reteach sheet shows you that AB over RS is 4 over 8 if you counted the spots on the grid that they gave you, which hopefully you know that 4 over 8 can reduce to 1/2. Whether I do BC to ST, whether I do CD to TU, or maybe I do AD to RU, every one of those that you would do like that would reduce to 1/2. So that figure is similar. I put a question mark above the similar sign when I was trying to do these for you. I can erase that because I know that that's similar. Okay? In the second example, they have two triangles. And if I label the first one as triangle ABC, I have to label the second one as triangle RST. That way, if I tried to figure out what segment AB is, which in this case is 3, I would have to compare it to RS, which in this case is 7. Okay? But on the first one, if I did all of them, I would have gotten 1/2 no matter what. On this particular one, if I do BC to ST, I get 2 over 4, which reduces to 1/2. So one of them was 1/2, one of them was 3/7. Those two are definitely not similar. So this would be a no. Okay. So using that, I want to do the last one on this, and actually the only actual exercise on the reteach. Then we're going to do a couple on the skills practice and a couple on the homework practice, to where I think if you label these well, again, you'll be able to do these pretty quickly. So let's get rid of these real quick. Maybe you need to stop the video. Maybe you'll need to fast forward the video in a second if you didn't stop it to catch up to where I'm going to be. But I'm looking at the reteach at the bottom of the page. And as I drop my marker, I got new markers that came from UPS yesterday. We were really excited about that. So you might have noticed purple here, and that's one of my new colors. So I know you're all extremely excited about my new colors. Number 1 at the bottom says, if I go in the same order and I say EHGF for the first one, EHGF for the first one, we want to know if that's similar to, if I labeled that one EHGF, to go in the same order, I would have to say V, Y, X, W. Okay? So we're going to try to see if these are similar. So I can take something like EH and try to compare it to VY then. Shouldn't I be able to? Say yes. And if I take EH on this, EH is worth 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And VY is worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So if I reduce that, that goes down to 2/3. Okay? If I take, say, maybe I want to take GF to XW. Okay? GF to XW. Well, GF is 4 units. XW, guess how many? It's 6. So it also reduces to 2/3. Now, in your examples, they do all the sides. If you've done 2 that are different, they're not the ones that are parallel and or congruent sides, which we have now done, then you probably can stop there, but it's always kind of safe to say maybe we should try one more or not. Like, for example, what if I take HG and I compare HG to YX, right? Well, HG is 2 units. YX is 3 units. So nice that each one of them is 2/3. Okay, this one I could either erase my question mark there or say that yes, those guys are similar. So let's move on to our skills practice page. And I said, didn't really need to erase that number 1 because I'm going to do number 1. That was my pointer falling, aka my bat. Number 1 has 2 triangles, and if I label the first triangle EFG, we want to know, is that similar to triangle? If I labeled that one EFG, I would have to label this one YXW. I'd have to keep things consistent. That way, if I compare EF to something, I could compare it to YX. And EF on your paper is 3 units. YX on your paper is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. That equals 1/2. Okay? EF 1, 2, 3. I always like to check my work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that's 1/2. Okay, what if I choose, say, FG and XW? FG to XW. Well, FG is 1, 2, 3, 4. And XW is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Which reduces to 2/5. Well, guess what? 1/2 and 2/5 are not equal to each other. So that's a big fat no. Alright, let's look at number 3. On this same page, the skills practice page, they have triangle HIJ. And we want to know, is that similar to triangle? If I call the first one HIJ, it would be wise to call this one QOP. Okay, so if I want to take some sides, maybe I take HI. Well, HI, I would have to compare to QO. And HI is 3. QO is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which equals 1/2. Okay, another good side to choose might be IJ. Okay, IJ to OP, right? Well, IJ to OP. IJ on your little one is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And hopefully OP is 8, right? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is, which is also 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. We can say that this one is a Yes. Okay. Want to go over to the homework practice now. On the homework practice, I chose 2, 4, and 6. So on number 2, you have quadrilateral, RSTU. And we want to know if that's similar to, if I do RSTU, that means I have to do VWXT. That's because that's the same order as RSTU according to the drawing. Okay, well, if I compare RS to VW, RS is 3 units. VW is also 3 units. That's 1, correct? Okay, what if I want to check ST with WX? Well, ST is, we count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And guess what? If I count WX, it's also going to be 10. So that looks like we're going to be in good shape. And if I did any of the other sides, I would still get 1. Okay, so this is going to be a yes. All right, let's try to see if I can fit this 4 on here without going off my screen. I think I can do it. Okay, this one's a very important one to notice because it's a little bit different. The MNOP, we want to know if that's similar to, if I label it MNOP, I got to do RQTS. Okay, so that now when I start thinking of these, we have to be careful on what we can do as far as using the right measurements. I can take MP, okay, this is just one that I chose to take. Let's change my mind and do 2 letters that are next to each other so you can kind of see what I'm doing. If I take NO, and I compare it to QT, NO, you should kind of be able to see that that's 3, right? And QT, you should kind of be able to see that that's also 3. Okay, well that reduces to 1. Now here's where I have to be careful though. OP or TS, or if I were to compare those to each other, those aren't an obvious distance on your grid. If you think back to like finding the area of a quadrilateral, okay, it's going to be the base times the height. I can figure out the height of these guys. Okay, for example, the M here to the O on this guy, if you look at it, is actually a height of that parallelogram. So I can say MO is how tall that shape is. Okay, so if I'm doing that, then if it's MO that I can use, shouldn't it be R and T that I can use? Okay, well if I use RT for the other one, MO, if you counted that height, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, RT's height, if you counted from R to T, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, if this one's 6/5 and this one's 1, is that the same? That's a big fat no. Okay, staying aside for a little bit, letting you see that. Pause the video if you need to catch up on that, because that's all very important, especially number 4 is very different than what we've had so far. So make sure you understand that we took 2 different points that weren't right next to each other on this guy because we didn't have a good height or didn't have a good length that was easy. So we had to take the height to find out which one was similar to the other or if they were similar to the other. Okay, so stop that video and make sure you see what I did. You have to be looking at your sheet in order to make sure that this video plus that sheet makes sense. Because if you just try to look at the videos and hope that you got it, you might not have it. And luckily for me, I dropped my stuff again. Last one on the homework practice, I decided to do one of your story problems. And that's number 6. Okay, on number 6, it talks about this Mr. Fletcher guy who's got 0.5 millimeters for his section of plants. Okay, 0.5 millimeters for a section of plants. Then it says there's a scale factor in his microscope of 10. Well, scale factor simply means that we're going to multiply that by 10. 0.5 times 10 is now just 5.0. Okay, whenever you multiply something by 10, it just means you move the decimal point 1 over, and now we have 5. Okay, then it says another camera lens makes it so that that's a scale factor of 20. So we multiply that by 20. 20 times 5 is 100. And that's how simply we get to our answer, that this new length. What is the length of the section of plant in the photograph? The photograph's new length would be 100 millimeters. Now, stop and go on that video as much as possible. Get it down. I don't think it's going to be too terribly hard to figure out, especially now after you do some of the rest of these and pair it with the assignment I'm going to come up with on the Google Classroom. Hopefully 7.3 will be a piece of cake to get through. Okay, have a great day. I'll see you maybe tomorrow, if not on Monday.